Hi, my name is Daniel. I'm a huge Iron Maiden fan, and I wanted to start this video, and I'm going to continue with a series of videos about each and every single album of the band. And of course I wanted to begin with the first album from 1980, the Iron Maiden debut album. First of all, I wanted to get something out of the way. I think there may be like 3 opinions about music or movies, by people. I think there could be opinions, like especially music, from professional critics, which may or may not be positive about a musician or a band. There may be opinions from a professional musician, which again may be positive or negative. But either one of those, opinions would be based on professional, clear understanding of art and music and so on and so forth. I'm neither one of those. I'm neither a professional musician or a professional critic. I am just a huge fan. And if you're a fan of a band, I think you need to have positive opinions. If you don't have any positive opinions, or if you have conflicting, varying opinions about the band, maybe you're not a fan. I'm just saying, But to me, I'm a huge, lifelong fan of Iron Maiden. I've been listening to them since I was 11 years old. I am 51 now. And so this has been everything to me. This has been my life, And so I have nothing negative to say about Maiden. So if you're not a huge fan of Maiden, maybe these videos would not interest you so much. If you are a huge fan of the band, I think you would enjoy this. So, Iron Maiden's first album was recorded in 1979 in England, of course, and it was released on April 14th, 1980, having, of course, Paul Di'Anno singing, Steve Harrison bass, Dave Murray guitar, Denton Stratton in guitars also, and Clive Burr with the drums, and Will Malone, who produced the first album. Okay, and so what I want to do is I want to review some of the material that has been done for each and every single album. And I want to guide people to try to understand what are the different options, both just as a listener of the band or also as a collector and a fan. Okay, so Will Malone's original recording on vinyl. Okay, many people know that Steve Harris was not a huge fan of his own recording of the first album. He wasn't very happy. He has voiced that many times. But many of us fans absolutely adore the album. And I think that Bill Malone did a fantastic job, This is the first album, okay? This is the American version from the 1980 album, okay? To clarify, what is the difference between the American and the British? Well, the American contains the song Century. Okay, but the first press, the British first release of the album, April 14th, 1980, contained fewer songs. It didn't contain Century. Okay, eventually when the American release was, issued, and this is the issue that has been distributed all throughout the world. This is the international version of the album. It became extremely popular, of course. There have been several re-releases of this album. For example, there's this one, which is a recent, of course, reprint of the album, which is a picture vinyl version of it. Okay, this came out just recently in 2012, and it's a beautiful thing. It's extremely well made. I haven't opened them. I wouldn't open them. But this is a gatefold style type of 12-inch record. There's also the re-release, which is in straight black vinyl, and it's not a fold-out sleeve. It's just a regular thing. All in all, of course, I enjoy them. However, I really like the first cover a little bit more, because of the texture, the details, the color, the beauty of the structure of how it was put together, it was printed. I think it's very vibrant and very beautiful and just very strong and very well made. In the re-releases, some of the color is kind of off. It's like the wall is a little bit more orangey. If we see the difference in the tones, in the re-release is, you know, in both of them they have a more orange-like tone to it. In the original one, it's more yellowy, more. In my opinion, that's what makes it more striking and more vibrant. I don't know. Okay. Following that, another interesting re-release, it was this, okay? You may remember this in the late 80s. There was the first 10-year album collection, okay, where they re-released all of the singles, okay? Now, I have a few problems with this edition, to be honest, okay? First of all, they made it a fold-out, okay, where they would attach 2 singles in one, which I have a problem with. Is not quite as attractive. Also, the materials they used, the paper they used, the carbon they used, it would become unglued very easily. I take care of my records, like, you know, so much, but I mean, the quality in the manufacturing and production of this, I'm sorry to say, it's not perfect. Okay, it's not that great. I never got completely into all of them. I never really collected all of them. I have a few, but you know. One of the more treasure things that I have, this is from 1980. Okay, this is the first single from 1980. This is in fact the first true product that was made with, you know, in anticipation of the first album. This is an official, you know, 1980 British edition of the single, and I absolutely love that. Okay, it's a little bit damaged. It has a few scuffs and things, but I've had this for over 30-something years. Okay, so, but I love this, and of course they have remade this. There's a reissue of this, and we see the same problem. Okay, the tones of the colors are more orangey. Okay. I think that the original printing is more vibrant and beautiful and striking. Okay, all in all, they did a very nice, beautiful, faithful, you know, reproduction of the work. They changed a little bit the logo here. In the original logo, the M is just like the way we know it today. But for some reason, they added this prolonged design here on the M. I don't know why they did that. Then the other thing, which is extremely great and fantastic about the first album, it is the single of Sanctuary. Okay, this is the maxi single, which is basically a 12-inch size single, but basically it contains on average 3 or 4 songs. Okay, and I absolutely adore this record. It is one of the most beautiful drawings that Derek Riggs had done. It is very striking. Eddie is very memorable here. There's it's an image that when it came out, it caused so much controversy. You know, people were like talking about it, and I think that, wink, wink, that may have been what they had in mind initially. You know, to kind of cause a little bit of controversy, because you know that's good to sell records. They also did a reissue of this. You know, but they did it, of course, in the 7-inch format. Again, the difference in colors in this one is not quite as extreme as you would see in the other records. But the one thing that I don't like is that, you know, in the original maxi single, we can see a little bit of the logo up here, you know, whereas in this one, it's a little bit cut off, okay? But still, this is great. They back in the day, they never came out with this size for this record, so it's a beautiful thing to have this, you know, as part of the collection. You know, there's also this EP that came out, this live EP that came out back in 1980. It contains women in uniform in studio, and then Drifter and Phantom of the Opera on single. Okay, this is the closest we got at that time of a Phantom of the Opera single. Okay. And here we have the cover of Eddie, a little bit closer up and everything else. One thing that a lot of people don't know or don't realize about Maiden, it is why is it that they had the logo like this, you know. And I remember back then we had record stores, you know, and we had at record stores we had browsers. We had these huge, gigantic, beautiful, endless browsers at record stores, and you would browse, you would look through records, you know. And I mean, I remember when I was a kid, you know, seeing at the record store, seeing in the browser that the logo, you know, it was such a striking, you know, impactful thing. You know, all of the first few albums had the logo like that, very large all across the top of the record, so that made it stand out in the browser. That you know, I think that Maiden had deliberately, Steve Harris had done a lot of things deliberately to try to, you know, bring attention to the music through little things like that, which is fantastic. Something else is that, well, I don't have the original Iron Maiden record on CD. I used to have it. I sold it. I shouldn't have. I feel bad about that. I sold it and I bought this, which is the Newcastle re-edition of the album. This is the first time that Iron Maiden remastered its recording, you know. And Will Malone's work here is a little bit better, okay. It's a stronger kind of sound. The one good thing about this edition is that in the previous edition, if you may remember how CDs used to be, it was very simplistic. It just simply said Iron Maiden 1980 basically. But now here we see, you know, printed artwork in each CD. Now what is fantastic about this collection is that it came out with a second CD that contained all of the singles, okay, which is great. This is really great. Unlike they had re-released on CD in the 10-year, you know, the first 10 years collection, they had re-released the CDs, the singles, but the sound wasn't all that great. But in this one, the sound is much better. The sound is much better. Okay. Still here, the booklet. I mean, we don't have a booklet. We simply have like a one-page, sleepy, tiny thing that they would add there. Not that significant. But then, you know, in the late 1990s, early 2000s, Iron Maiden re-released the music once again, and they re-released it with this a remastered digital recording of the band, okay, a much more embellished and improved sound that we have here. The artwork also here printed on the CD is more detailed and more beautiful. For the first time for this album, we got a booklet, okay, with more details and you know, pictures, photographs we had never seen of the band. Everything from 1980, of course. The one thing is this cover of a redesigned Eddie, which is like made by computers. And there were rumors that the band had intended to, you know, re-release all of the albums and to redesign all of the covers with this kind of idea of a computerized version of Eddie. But most of the fans were not very happy with this, and so that idea was scratched. I made this box, and there's a special little box that I had constructed, okay, where I put my mini vinyl records, okay. These are replicas of the original vinyls, okay. What I like about this is that we go back to the original yellowy color of the vinyl of the original 1980 edition. Here they include the booklet that I showed you a minute ago. Basically, this re-edition is exactly the same as this. Okay, there's nothing different. Both of them are also CD-ROM versions. Iron Maiden was like the first band to recreate everything on like CD-ROM style. Okay, which meant that you could use this and you could put it in your computer and you would get like additional videos and photographs and so on and so on and so on. It was a lot of fun. I don't think it's compatible anymore with any computer, but still great to have. With this collection, you would get a sticker in every one of the records. You would send off, I think it was like 6 stickers, and then they would send you a replica of the legendary Soundhouse Tapes EP, EP that they made back in 1978. So this is great. Also, this is a little great piece that they added to that collection. So thank you, and I'll continue updating this channel. Put a thumbs up if you like this video, and please try to subscribe. The next video is going to be about the merchandise related to the 1980 album.